There are so many games that focus on gathering resources, building a base, and surviving. But something I've never seen any of them try to do is weave in a compelling story. Because how would that even work? Any game where you have to manage resources can quickly become the most stressful shit ever because there's always something else to do. I mean, I'd like to stop and smell the roses, but I've got to spend the next 3 hours getting this conveyor belt to the other side of the planet, and then keeping this generator running indefinitely in a post-apocalyptic freezing hellscape, and then watching as the last surviving human colony gets wiped out because one zombie got into the base, and now everything and everyone is gone, and I have to restart it all from the beginning. My point is, there's already so much going on in these types of games as it is. So how would one even work if it did try to blend this type of management gameplay with a narrative? What if there were some actual characters that you could interact with that would help pull back the godlike persona that players usually get when seeking into these games? And what if all of those other characters were different versions of yourself and you were all trapped together trying to escape a deadly planet?
What do you think makes us human, Jan? Our body or our mind?
You look like me, but also God like me. We're alternative versions of the same person. You made different decisions in your life.
I just want you to prepare.
For what?
Tough decisions.
This is The Alters, an incredibly atmospheric game that is a mashup of a bunch of different genres, which all feel like they shouldn't go together, but do surprisingly really well. Third-person exploration, time strategy, base building, resource management, people management, and a story that will change based on the choices you make and the dialogue you pick. But before I get into all of that, let me set the scene for you. You play as Jan Dolsky, one guy who will very soon be a bunch of guys. You are the sole survivor of a space exploration mission gone wrong, which resulted in your entire crew dying after crash landing on a planet. Luckily though, your giant tire-like base survived the crash, giving you shelter from the nightly radiation that happens here.
Hello? Anybody here? For a moment, I hope someone else made it. I need to find the comms room and get help.
Hello, can anyone hear me? Mayday, anyone?
Since I can hear you, Captain Machine.
I'm here, but I'm not the captain. I'm just a builder. Jan Dolsky. The captain, the whole crew is gone. Can you get me out of here?
You're in imminent danger. With short time remaining to sunrise.
How much time? What's gonna happen?
Please, 30 meter before star approaching. This battle, you must escape. You see sunrise.
Sunrise. Perfect.
Sunrise. The sun on this planet burns hotter than anything else. So hot that it will cook you and your big-ass wheel when it rises in about a week's time. So you need to get moving. You begin exploring the planet, with your goal being to gather enough resources to get the base rolling. But along the way, you come across a shimmering element. This is Rapidium, something that can rapidly grow organic matter, and the whole point of this mission, with your original purpose being to recover as much of it as possible to help solve a food crisis back on Earth. And of course, in the midst of everything, that faint voice you heard earlier wants you to test it to make sure it's the real deal, by using a room called the Womb to grow something.
I'm starting to worry this wasn't such a good idea.
Oh, of course. What else?
You don't know it yet, but this sheep will be the key to your survival. Before that though, you've got another big problem to add to the growing list: the base itself. Even after collecting enough resources and flipping the switch, it isn't moving, and you don't have the knowledge to fix it. To make things even more complicated, there's also something on your base called the quantum computer, and it has records of you, but not just any ordinary records, it's your whole life. From the distant memories of when Jan was a kid, all the way up until leaving for this very mission. There's the choice he had to make when he was 19, about either going off to college or staying home with his abusive father and sick mother. Then another at age 23, when he got the call while he was away abroad that his mom had died. At age 24, he got married to the love of his life, and then almost a decade later, was handed back the ring he proposed with. Everything here is the building blocks for who Jan is as a person, which is kind of fucked, but also doesn't give you a way out of your situation. That is, until the voice proposes you do something with the Rapidium you found.
Rapidium can save you. Branching procedure.
Branching? What exactly will be branching?
What is it? You.
Rapidium. Cloning a sheep. Branching myself? Altering my life by messing with my own memories? I mean, no way in hell. Give me my other options.
You're in imminent danger. Only short time remaining to sunrise.
You jerk. I don't have other options, do I?
It's that choice again. The one where Jan could have gone to college or stayed home with his parents. But now there's a branching path. One that Jan didn't take, with a label on it titled Technician. A technician. That's exactly what you need to get the space moving again. But what's going to happen when you hit that button? Like he said, at this point, you don't have any other options.
Hey there. Wow, hello? Can you hear me? What is this? Where am I? You're in a lab. Your memories might be a bit fuzzy, but relax. You're gonna be okay. Do you think you can, introduce yourself?
All right. Jan Dolsky, Senior Technician at Ally Corp Mining Operations. There. Did I pass?
Wow. Amazing. It actually worked.
What? What worked? And what the hell are you anyway?
This is your first alter. And honestly, he's kind of a dick. But I mean, he's you, so are you a dick too? I'm getting off track. Your base is now finally moving thanks to his help, letting you escape the sun temporarily. Now, you've just got to get to the other side of the planet where rescue awaits, all while gathering as much Rapidium as possible along the way. But you've also got him with you now, the first of many alternate versions of yourself that you'll need to create if you want to survive. But this won't be as easy as in any of those other games where you can just tell people what to do. Because as you saw, your alters aren't just copies of you. They're people who have lived completely separate, hypothetical lives. And because of this, they're very different in personality and life experiences, meaning you'll need to learn how to manage them along with everything else. As for how the core gameplay loop actually works here, I'd say it can be broken down into 3 separate sections. The first involves you exploring the planet, where your main objective is to gather precious resources by setting up mining outposts and then tethering them back to your base. Along the way, you'll also encounter lots of obstacles, like this spooky pile of rocks that you could theoretically just climb over, or instead build a gadget for that just deletes them from existence entirely. Precious resources. And while you won't encounter any enemies out here, you will come across these anomalies that can hurt you through radiation or mess with you in other ways. Next is the management side, that will involve you maintaining your base and managing your alters. These guys want things: better food, somewhere to get a good night's sleep, an area to watch movies and play beer pong with the boys, you know, the essentials. But all of this stuff costs resources to build, so you'll need to make decisions about what to spend them on. A greenhouse, for instance, will help you grow better food, so you don't all have to eat recycled feces for every meal, but requires you or one of your alters to spend time working there. At any time, you can assign an alter to a specific module on your base or outpost on the planet's surface where they will work tirelessly until the end of the day. But each of your alters also specifies in a specific area that coincides with one of these things. A refiner, a miner, a doctor, who I'm not entirely sure is actually a real doctor, since there isn't even a keyboard on that desk.
The easy solution is rarely the right one.
So while you or any of your alters can work in the greenhouse, Botanist Jan is the most efficient when stationed there and will do the work 50% faster than anyone else. But there are still way more jobs that need doing than just what everyone specializes in. So you'll constantly be moving everyone around to different stations, queuing up the things you need like meals or gadgets, and letting everyone work while you run around like a maniac. Lastly, there's the people management side, or should I say, Jandolski management. This involves you talking to your alters and trying to keep them as happy as possible through branching dialogue options. Because when they're happy, they work longer hours throughout the day, and when they're not happy, they kill you in your sleep. And my god, you'd think given the circumstances of instant blazing death being on the horizon, that they'd be a little more lenient when it comes to requests, but no, these guys are needy and emotional as fuck. Hey man, can you give us the day off since we're all overworked? Hey man, can you make everyone work more hours because we'll be more productive? Hey man, can you build me a gym so I can get some crunches in? I miss my wife, wah! But even though they act like annoying little kids in the most dire of situations, talking and interacting with your alters is the heart of this game. When you go to create an alter, you get to choose from a bunch of different versions of Jan, and if you take the time, you can even see how their alternate lives played out. But something you won't know when choosing one is what kind of personality they'll have, and how their personal issues might affect the mission overall. You also have a couple of restrictions when it comes to creating them. The first being that you won't be able to make every one of them in a single playthrough, only being able to get around 6 or so, and that you can't make all of them at the same time, as you'll gradually be given the ability to make more as the game progresses. So like, Worker Jan seems like a good choice. There's a workbench that you'll constantly be using to make tons of gadgets, and he's much faster than you or anyone else when stationed there. His backstory also implies he's really into workers' rights, which I am all for, so he'll probably be easy to work with. Or so I wish.
I'm a representative of the Joint Trade Union sent on this mission to make sure nobody is fucking with the people employed here. And you know what? My notebook is beginning to fill up fast. I'm someone important. I do things for people. Real people rely on me.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
He's really into workers' rights, which would probably be great in a regular setting, but like, read the room, dude. I know you hate it when I make everyone work overtime, but it's between that and all of us literally burning to death.
I hope you come up with a solution soon. People are getting...
Regardless though, one of the best moments in this game is seeing the kind of person an alter really is after you've already made this impression in your head of who they'll be just from their title alone.
You're bald.
How you treat your alters is really important too, because everything you say or do to them can affect their moods. Like I mentioned, making them happy means them working longer hours, which is great for you since you'll be less crunched for time. But dismissing them with your responses or failing to meet their requests will cause them to resent you and work less. Sometimes your alters will just be feeling shitty for one reason or another. Maybe they don't like eating mush for every meal. Or maybe it's because they were willed into existence and told their entire lives were make-believe. Probably the first one. If you talk to them when they're like this though, you can try to calm them down. But if you choose your words poorly, you could potentially just make things worse. And if you piss them off enough, they might even rebel against you.
Is there a problem? Listen, Jan, we're fed up with your mistakes. What do you mean, fed up? What is this? Morale is at an all-time low. You need to reevaluate your priorities or else.
There is a bunch of ways to help boost team morale though if it starts getting too low. There's a bunch of personal junk that Jan brought with him on this mission that got scattered around the planet when he crashed. And you can find and give this stuff to your alters as gifts since it reminds them of back home.
No way! Is that my old pipe?
Same goes for spending time with them. Watching movies together or crushing them in a game of beer pong will for some reason instantly improve their moods. But they also might get into accidents if you don't keep your base's maintenance up, which will cause the opposite effect. And if you really neglect them, they might even die.
Watching yourself die can fuck you up. I hope you can shake it off and get on with the mission. I can. Let's stop wallowing in misery and get back to work.
Part of this game is trying to figure out how to talk to your specific alters. Some of them are big babies and like when you praise them for their hard work, while others can see right through your bullshit and will get annoyed if you try to butter them up. There would be a lot of times when I thought I had made a good dialogue choice, only for my alter to lash out at me for my response. And every time this happened, I learned a bit more about who they were as a person. At first, you might just think of them as these stereotypes that you can always use the same kind of answers on, but you really need to pay attention and treat them like real people, because just like real people, they are unpredictable.
What the fuck? Did you just chop your arm off?
What's it look like? A fucking prank.
The Alters is a game about making hard choices, and this is made even more challenging because of a clock that is constantly counting down to your demise, since this is also a time management game. But before you say, I hate games with time limits, and then do this, let me explain. Time limits in games. I get it. They have always been one of the biggest things that can halt someone's enjoyment of a game. When I was a kid, I absolutely hated this game genre because of the constant pressure and the feeling of failure. Now, as an adult, every day is like that anyways, so it no longer has an effect on me.
Coming to bed, honey? Yes, dear.
As for you though, dear viewer, I have good news. While not initially in the game, the devs have since added a relaxed mode that alleviates the game's time limit and lets people experience the game's narrative without needing to worry about a ticking clock. But I, in my infinite wisdom, am going to try to convince you to use it, because I think it's how this game was intended to be played. In the Alters, everything you do takes time, whether it be crafting things at a workbench, exploring and setting up mining outposts, or talking to and spending time with your alters. And from the moment Jan wakes up, the clock will start counting all the way until nightfall, which gives everything you do a sense of urgency. This plays into the narrative though, because sometimes your alters will ask for things that you just don't have the time for, making you need to choose what to prioritize, their happiness or everyone's survival. This is part of the experience, and it's what gives this game any sort of challenge. Because if you had infinite time, then you could just keep making horrible choices over and over without any real repercussions. I have played through this entire game both on the regular difficulty and then again on the hardest one, and I'll tell you, if you played any kind of game in this genre, then you'll be just fine playing on regular. This game is very generous with the amount of time it gives you, and as you progress, it will adjust itself by holding back certain big moments by a generous number of days if you're not far enough along in the story. So you shouldn't fear the time limit in this game, you should embrace it. I don't know what that means, I just thought it sounded cool. I'm not gonna lie though, at times you will probably be stressed playing this game, but more because of the harder decisions it throws at you, since some of them have lasting ramifications. This game was made by 11-Bit Studios, who also made This War of Mine and Frostpunk, both of which also really lean into the idea of giving the player morally difficult decisions to make. But there's definitely a different feeling you get as a player when making choices in those games compared to this one. In Frostpunk, for instance, you have to build up and manage a city in the middle of a global ice age, and while you play, you'll have to create new laws for it, a lot of which are completely unethical, like forcing children to work, or using the corpses of your dead as an alternative food source. But when you play that game, you never really feel the effects of these actions. Yes, I know I've made it so that little Timmy will work his cold little fingers off and unknowingly eat his dead neighbors, but the only visual I would be confronted with after doing this would be the image of a crying kid, which isn't doing much since I already see one of those every day in the mirror. You never have to actually deal with these characters on an individual level, so you don't feel any weight when making these decisions. And this all goes back to that god complex thing I mentioned earlier about these sorts of games. All of the characters here mostly look the same from my imaginary ivory tower up in the sky, so it's a bit hard to see them as anything more than just another game mechanic. But when the same kind of morally difficult choice is presented in the Alters, when someone stands right in front of you and tells you that your decisions will affect them in a negative way, you feel a lot more responsible for what you say or do.
'Cause it seems to me that at the end of the day, you're always thinking about yourself.
After playing through this game, I got into a lot of clone media, which is a really weird thing to say out loud now that I have.
There's 25 of them! They all look like this guy! How can 25 guys look like one guy?
But I have to say, I really love how the concept of cloning was used here. Like, I get that clones are typically used more in things like comedies or cartoons, since the inherent idea of there being multiple of a character is funny. Maybe each one gets a hyper-specific personality trait too. So he's the evil one, and he's the sad one, and he's the...
He's special. He's fine. He'll be all right.
But even in something that's not just trying to be comedic, they always still come off as cliche to me. Like, the writers never realize how fucking cool and deep clones could actually be if used for more emotional depth, since it gives the character the opportunity to literally meet and talk to themselves. Also, why are clones always just okay with finding out that they're actually the clone and not the original? I would be freaking the fuck out if I woke up and someone was like, yeah, you're not even a real person. Every moment in your life is a lie. Your wife isn't waiting for you back on Earth because she's my wife and she hates me. These guys are both given a reason for why they have different personalities and are pumped full of drugs when you first wake them up so they don't freak out. Because that's what someone would do.
You look funny. You... Ha. Oh. What was that? I wanted to laugh, but I'm like... indifferent.
The director of the game mentioned that early on in development, he had watched the documentary 3 Identical Strangers, which is a film about 3 real triplets who were separated at birth and raised up in different households. And you should actually go watch this film, it's really good. But it shows how their environments shape them into becoming different people overall, with the point being that nurture is more important than nature for how we develop. And this is the same idea for why the clones here have such vastly different personalities, since they all branched off from Jan at some point during his life and went on to live their own. And I just want to express my appreciation for how much thought went into all of this. Jan and every alter in the game are all voiced by the same person, Alex Jordan, but every one of them still sounds unique and identifiable. He did an amazing job at making each alter feel like their own distinct person, to the point that by the end of the game, I could easily tell all of them apart, even if I was just hearing their voice.
I think it's only fair you should know how much deeper your relationship could have been.
Whatever happens, you had the balls to do the right thing. And I know I can trust you whatever happens. I'm not sure if it wasn't just me being paranoid. But even if it was, I guess it didn't hurt, right?
You're bald.
I think the biggest thing that makes this game work, though, is just the vibe of it. A lot of this game gives this intentional, eerie feeling of dread, from the sun's imminent approach, to the unethical creation of your alters, to the soundtrack that's filled with these unsettling, alien-like noises. You will feel uneasy at times when playing, and that's the point, because then the game will throw the complete opposite at you. Like when you walk into the gym, only to find one of your alters teaching another how to throw a punch, or all of you arguing over what the best genre of music is.
That's because your narrow mind will never grasp the beauty of AI-fueled synth jazz.
Of course. What else could our elitist version indulge in? Jazz for rich people who forgot about its roots.
It's almost like a dark comedy, where the characters are all fighting for their lives, but then at the end of the night, they're all just watching dumb movies with each other like none of that matters.
Stop that! That memory makes you who you are. Yeah. Right? Yeah.
That's ridiculously amusing.
And then there's these really human moments, when you come back to the base and see that one of your alters wants to talk, with you expecting them to just have another request, only for them to instead just dump some of the most personal shit on you.
Wait, Mom, wasn't that after she was sick? Right. But she got better. So you're saying there was a way to help her? Well, it came with a price. What price? A long story, man. But she's alive? I mean, in your awareness? Was she still alive when you went on this mission? Yeah. She called me the day before the launch and wished me a good landing. Didn't she get better in your life? No. No, she didn't. You mean she's gone? I was gonna tell her how it went if we found rubidium.
I also think this works because of how relatable Jan is, with the choices he made in his life probably hitting even harder for guys who are in their late 20s to mid 30s. Jan is someone who's lost. He comes from a pretty rough background, he lost his job, his wife left him, and he goes on this mission because he has nothing left to lose. And I think this is a feeling that will resonate with everyone. We've all had those moments where we wish we had said or done something differently. And Jan's alters are physical proof of those kinds of decisions. And while I'm not sure that every person ever has the ability to become a doctor, a scientist, or a technician, I think it does a great job of showing how impactful the choices in our lives can be, and I think you will come out of this game thinking more about your own life and reflecting on the choices you've made throughout it. And just as a comparison, when I finish playing a game of Factorio, I don't think about anything. I just want to die because I haven't slept or bathed in 4 days. Which I think drives home even more how amazing it is that you can get this feeling from a game that's initially about collecting rocks, and then setting up mining outposts, and then holding A to collect even more rocks. It feels like this game just came out and nobody has any idea that it even exists, which is criminal. I bought this game to do the Factorio thing where I just mindlessly rot for a few days, but surprisingly came away from it thinking about personal stuff. At one point while I was playing, I was presented with a choice, which I'm not going to spoil here, but it was big enough that I really had to sit and think about which of the different options I was going to go with. And after finally deciding and seeing a bit of the ramifications from it, I immediately thought to myself, oh no, was that the correct choice? Did I make a mistake? And so I did what a lot of people in that same situation would do. I opened the menu and clicked on my save file from the previous in-game day with the intention to reload and choose the other option. But before I could, I was met with this. In life, we tend to dwell on our decisions instead of living with their consequences. The message here was immediately clear, and it was because of this that I actually decided to stick with the decision I had made. And if you do decide to play the Alters, I would urge you to do the same, because the experience you'll get from playing like this, having to make hard choices under pressure, saying the wrong thing to someone, or saying the right thing and seeing the outcome of it, will create an incredibly unique experience for you and you alone.
Nothing more to say. Let's get back to our jobs. 'Cause we need to push hard now. But we're gonna make it. I believe in us. Brother. Growing up apart, we shared surprisingly common ground, feeling nothing more than regret. Till the coin got flipped around. Things never said in quantum state now won't remain unspoken. The clock is unwound, the choice is unsound, could now reopen. What if I gotta spend a day with you again? Of all the things that I regret, it's losing you that truly hurts. If I could take another turn, my life would never be the same. If I could get another chance today. On the path I left behind, I've been roaming with no guiding light, but I'm no longer left all by myself. Together we can win this fight. Things that we lost, the personal cost, are they really gone forever? We're not gonna fail, we need to prevail and sail together. And though it seems now anything could be undone, would you be really missing things if they were never truly gone? If I could take another turn, my life would never be the same. If I could get another chance today. If I could take us somewhere now, let us win this race against the sun and find a place where we could hide tonight.
Hey, thank you for watching my video. Every time I make one of these, I always think it's gonna be like 10 minutes, and by the end of it, it's like half an hour. So I appreciate you sticking it through the entire way. If you like what you saw and you wanna see more content like this, then go ahead and like, subscribe, all that stuff if you're so inclined, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.